Homelessness in America has spiraled into a national emergency. Across the country, in cities large and small, millions of people are living without stable housing. Some sleep in their cars, others crowd into shelters, and many are forced to set up tents under highways or in city parks. The sight of people huddled under blankets on sidewalks or pushing shopping carts filled with their belongings has become so common that many have become desensitized to the crisis. But behind every homeless individual is a story of hardship, of jobs lost, medical bills piling up, abusive relationships escaped, or addiction battles that have taken everything. Once the American dream promised stability to those willing to work hard. Now that dream feels out of reach for millions of people struggling to afford the basic cost of living. The combination of rising rents, stagnant wages, mental illness, addiction, and a lack of affordable housing has created a crisis that no longer affects just a small portion of society. It touches families, veterans, the elderly, and even full-time workers who simply cannot keep up with the financial demands of modern life. In a country that prides itself on wealth and opportunity, homelessness stands as a glaring contradiction, one that continues to worsen with each passing year. The housing crisis, a nation priced out. At the root of America's homelessness problem is a severe housing crisis. Rent prices have soared to unprecedented levels, leaving even those with steady jobs struggling to keep a roof over their heads. In cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York, a modest one-bedroom apartment can cost upwards of $3,000 per month, far beyond what a minimum wage worker can afford. Even in smaller cities, rental prices have outpaced wage growth, making it nearly impossible for low-income individuals to find affordable housing. Homelessness is not just about joblessness. Many homeless individuals actually have jobs but earn so little that they cannot afford rent. Fast food workers, retail employees, and even teachers and healthcare aides have been found sleeping in their cars or staying in shelters because their wages are simply too low. The federal minimum wage has remained stagnant at $7.25 an hour since 2009, while the cost of living has skyrocketed. Even in states with higher minimum wages, paychecks often do not cover rent, food, and other basic expenses. The simple truth is that America has allowed housing to become a privilege rather than a basic human right. Mental illness, addiction, and the failure of the healthcare system. While economic factors are a major driver of homelessness, mental illness and addiction play a significant role as well. Many individuals experiencing homelessness suffer from untreated mental health conditions such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or severe depression. In the past, state-run mental hospitals provided care for those in need, but the widespread closure of these facilities in the 1980s left thousands without anywhere to go. Without proper support systems, many mentally ill individuals end up on the streets, cycling between homelessness, emergency rooms, and jail cells. The opioid crisis has made the situation even worse. Over the past decade, fentanyl and other synthetic opioids have flooded the streets, leading to record numbers of overdoses. Many individuals who become addicted to opioids started with legally prescribed painkillers, but turned to street drugs when their prescriptions ran out. Once trapped in addiction, finding a way out becomes nearly impossible without access to treatment. The stigma surrounding drug use prevents many from seeking help, and even those who want treatment often face long wait lists or expensive rehab programs they cannot afford. The criminalization of homelessness. Instead of addressing the root causes of homelessness, many cities have chosen to criminalize it. Laws banning public sleeping, camping, and panhandling have been enacted in cities across the country, making it illegal for people to exist in public spaces without a home. Police routinely conduct sweeps of homeless encampments, forcing people to move without providing them with anywhere else to go. Belongings, including medications, identification, and personal items, are often confiscated or destroyed during these sweeps, making it even harder for individuals to rebuild their lives. Jailing homeless individuals for minor offenses such as trespassing or loitering has become a common practice. Many homeless individuals find themselves in and out of jail, not because they have committed serious crimes, but because they have nowhere else to go. A criminal record only makes it harder to find employment and housing, further trapping individuals in a cycle of homelessness. Instead of offering support, the system punishes people for being poor. The criminalization of homelessness does nothing to solve the crisis. It only pushes it out of sight. Sweeping encampments and issuing fines might temporarily clear the streets, but without real solutions, the problem only gets worse. Cities spend millions of dollars on policing and jailing the homeless when that money could be better used to provide housing, mental health services, and job training programs. The human cost of inaction. Behind every statistic on homelessness is a human life. Families are forced to separate as parents lose custody of their children because they have no stable housing. Veterans who once served their country are left to die on the streets, forgotten and ignored. The elderly, many of whom work their entire lives, find themselves homeless after a medical emergency wipes out their savings. Women experiencing homelessness face an even greater risk, often becoming victims of sexual violence and abuse. Many are forced to trade sex for food or shelter, placing them in dangerous situations just to survive. LGBTQ youth, who are disproportionately affected by homelessness, often find themselves on the streets after being rejected by their families. Winter brings another deadly threat, with freezing temperatures killing those who have nowhere to seek shelter. In the summer, extreme heat and dehydration claim even more lives. Homeless individuals are at high risk of untreated medical conditions, malnutrition, and violent attacks. The longer a person remains homeless, the harder it becomes to escape, as the daily struggle for survival leaves little room for planning a way out. What needs to change? The homelessness crisis in America is not unsolvable. It is a matter of political will and priorities. Housing First initiatives, which provide stable housing without preconditions, have been proven to reduce homelessness and help individuals rebuild their lives. Expanding affordable housing programs, increasing wages, and investing in mental health and addiction treatment are all necessary steps in addressing the root causes of homelessness. Instead of criminalizing poverty, cities should focus on providing long-term solutions. Safe, affordable housing must be treated as a basic human right, not a privilege reserved for the wealthy. Public perception also needs to change. Homeless individuals are not criminals or failures. They are people who have been abandoned by a broken system. America has the resources to end homelessness, but it lacks the collective commitment to do so. Until meaningful action is taken, the crisis will continue to worsen, and more lives will be lost. The question is not whether the problem can be solved, it is whether America is willing to do what it takes to fix it. The role of government and policy failures. The U.S. government has long struggled to address homelessness in a meaningful way. While politicians often talk about solving the crisis, little action is taken to make lasting changes. Federal and state governments allocate billions of dollars to various programs, yet homelessness continues to rise. Many of these funds go toward temporary solutions, such as emergency shelters, rather than long-term housing solutions that would help people regain stability. The result is a system that prioritizes managing homelessness rather than ending it. One of the biggest policy failures has been the lack of investment in affordable housing. The government once played a more active role in ensuring that low-income Americans had access to housing. Public housing projects provided millions with stable homes, and rent control laws helped prevent excessive price increases. However, over the past several decades, these programs have been dismantled. Federal spending on affordable housing has been slashed, and private developers have been given free rein to build luxury housing instead of affordable units. The lack of rent regulation has allowed landlords to raise prices unchecked, pushing more people into poverty. Corporate influence and the wealth gap. America's homelessness crisis is deeply tied to economic inequality. While homelessness is on the rise, corporate profits have reached record highs. Billion-dollar companies exploit workers by keeping wages low while inflating the cost of essential goods and services. Real estate developers prioritize luxury apartments over affordable housing because it is more profitable. Pharmaceutical companies push addictive drugs, fueling the opioid epidemic while offering little in the way of treatment. Large corporations wield significant influence over government policy, often lobbying against policies that would benefit the working class. Minimum wage increases are fiercely opposed by big businesses, even though higher wages would prevent many from falling into homelessness. The healthcare industry fights against universal health care, ensuring that medical debt continues to be a leading cause of financial ruin. The real estate industry pushes back against rent control and tenant protections, allowing landlords to evict tenants at will. The result is an economy where the rich get richer while the poor struggle to survive. The top 1% continue to accumulate massive wealth, while millions of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Without major economic reforms, homelessness will continue to grow, and the gap between the wealthy and the poor will become even more extreme. The need for public awareness and action. One of the biggest obstacles to solving homelessness is public perception. Many Americans believe that homeless individuals are responsible for their situation, assuming they are lazy, addicted, or unwilling to work. This belief ignores the systemic issues that drive homelessness: high housing costs, low wages, inadequate mental health care, and job insecurity. The media often reinforces these stereotypes, portraying homeless individuals as dangerous or unworthy of help. News coverage frequently focuses on crime in homeless encampments rather than the suffering of those living there. This kind of reporting fuels fear and justifies policies that criminalize homelessness rather than addressing its root causes. However, there are signs of change. Grassroots organizations, advocacy groups, and everyday citizens are beginning to push back against government inaction. Housing activists are demanding rent control, tenant protections, and increased investment in affordable housing. Community groups are organizing mutual aid efforts, providing food, medical care, and legal assistance to those in need. Some cities have begun experimenting with housing-first programs, recognizing that stable housing is the first step toward recovery. Solving homelessness requires a shift in priorities at every level of society. The government must take bold action to invest in affordable housing, increase wages, and expand access to health care and addiction treatment. Corporations must be held accountable for their role in economic inequality. The public must challenge the stigma surrounding homelessness and advocate for policies that provide real solutions. This is not just a problem for the homeless, it is a problem for all of society. The more people are forced onto the streets, the more cities become overwhelmed with poverty, crime, and despair. The cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of providing housing and support services. America has the resources to end homelessness. The only question is whether it has the will to do so. Until the country chooses to prioritize human lives over corporate profits and political games, the crisis will continue to grow. More people will suffer, more will die on the streets, and the American dream will continue to fade, replaced by the harsh reality of a system that has abandoned its most vulnerable citizens. It is time to choose a different path. It is time to end homelessness, not with temporary fixes, but with real, lasting solutions. The future of millions depends on it.